Hi, folks. New Cara Dune here. Uh, police officer from the Galactic Republic, which is a galaxy far, far away, a long time ago, but slightly in the future of the part you know. And you may have seen my other video. We got cut off, sorry, but got cut off in my other video about how you've got an insurrection coming tomorrow. Today, the date of this transmission is in your time 3/3/21. So that's not going to stay. Here's the thing. You got a Trump insurrection. You already had one earlier this year, like a practice run. Now you got another one coming up tomorrow. And they're somewhat prepared for it, or they're at least talking about being prepared for it by getting the news out there somewhat today. But part of the problem is the way you've reported the news. That's what my last transmission was focused on. CNN's calling it the police preparing for a possible militia plot to breach the Capitol tomorrow on March 4th, 2021. It's not a possible plot. It's a definite plot. Like, they definitely made the plot. They've been talking about the plot is a definite plot. It's not a possible plot. Now, are they possibly going to do it? That's different. But you probably shouldn't be suggesting that. That's probably advertising it and supporting it more than just giving the benefit of the doubt whether or not they really made a plot. They definitely made a plot. It's Trumpers, 3%ers, the KKK, neo-Nazis, the KGB. It's a insurrectionist, treasonous, terrorist attempt. A second one on the Capitol. Because, yeah, you've thrown some of the, on the ground perpetrators in jail, but since you haven't gone after the leadership, they're doing it again. So, you're learning your lessons, or, you're guilty of it because you're the police force slash FBI who aren't necessarily taking these people into custody like you would any other terrorist organization. So that's why it's supremacy on the part of your police departments and stuff. Now you've got your political action, CPAC Political Action Committee, Conservative Political Action Committee, having a conference over the weekend with Nazi symbols in their stage and broadcast on their ceiling and probably on their cupcakes. You've got Nazis trying to take over your country, which is what we've been dealing with in our galaxy for a much longer time than you have. We're from a long time ago. Okay? So as an outsider from a galaxy far away, I can tell you, you don't call it a possible plot, you call it a plot. Now, I was comparing this in my previous video to two dogs that were reported walking on the street. Two dogs are on the loose in a neighborhood app. So these two dogs are on the loose. Could be helpful for people to know if their dogs are on the loose and have the dogs described. And have people say, hey, thanks, I'll go collect my dogs. These neighborhood apps and social ways of sharing information are appropriate for some things, and appropriate ways for people to find out, hey, you don't need to call the cops about that. You don't need to, that's not a problem. I mean, what you're seeing that you're worried about is not a problem. Those are my dogs, something like that. Now, compare that to a news story that showed two teenagers looking over a fence caught on someone's security camera. It made it onto your local news. They probably sent it to the police. The problem with that is the people looked over a fence and then they went somewhere else. What could be a non-criminal reason for that activity? Perhaps they were visiting someone at a house and the houses look a lot alike, but to see something characteristic, if it's the house they're going to go knock on the door in the middle of the night or not, they go look in the backyard. Oh, it's not the house. Let's go next door. We know it's this area, but it's not that house. Let's look in this next backyard, and if we don't see what we're looking for, we'll look in the next one. Oh, that's what we're looking for. This is their house. But a totally innocent reason. That's the first thing that came to my mind, honestly. This is why people are, when I see the video on the local news, broadcast, because we monitor these things in the Federation, broadcast back in time to us way back in our galaxy, because we got a lot better technology than you guys do. When I watch this, I'm like, well, those guys probably just looking for something familiar. They're not up to any type of trouble. That's the type of thing you could report on a neighborhood app and say, hey, these people are doing this. There's a possible criminal intent, but it's also entirely possible that they're not. But in absence of any surety of anything wrong, why bother calling the police? And especially when you have recent instance of someone calling the police on Elijah McClain for walking on the street with a face mask on in cold weather. And when the police show up and beat him and abuse him and almost kill him themselves. Then they have some paramedics show up and shoot him up with ketamine, which actually killed him. And all the repercussions from that you're not applying to yourself, but the people are having to apply to you. You turn everyone against the police. And as a police officer of the Galactic Federation that everybody supposedly respects pretty well, because we actually do more justice or something and don't, we're against the evil. You call them Nazis in your galaxy. We call them the Empire here, and we're against them as a federation. And we don't let them take over when we can help it, or we kick them out when we find them, or arrest them or whatever. You try to arrest them. When you actually try to arrest him and try to keep the Empire side on the Empire and keep your justice and government free from fascism, then you don't want to allow these things to continue, and you call them out for what they are. And you make consequences for the people that abuse power and hurt people in the process. So when it's good to know when something's possible, and something's possible, this person's wearing a ski mask. Yeah, that's possible they're committing a crime. It's also possible they're walking on the street with a bag in their hand from a store. That means they were just shopping at a store and they're wearing a ski mask because it's cold, and no reason to call the police, especially when they haven't done anything or been in any way threatening to you. You're just inside your house watching someone walk by. And that person got killed for that, for shopping and wearing a ski mask. That's what possible needs to be employed. When you need to maybe ask your neighbors, ask the neighborhood, hey, is this something to worry about? And the neighbors can say no, or the neighbors can say maybe. And if anything actually happens, then you can involve police. But if nothing happens, then don't. But in this case, you certainly need to involve the police because you have a plot to take over your country. So maybe do something about that. Maybe listen to the people who've been trying to tell you to do something about it the whole time. And maybe continue to do something about it so you don't have to keep doing something about it. Meaning, do what you got to do to the end and lock these people up who are causing these insurrections to happen. And the ones against the Capitol are an insurrection. They want to tell you that it's the same thing as people causing protests. No, the protests are against the same people. The same people who are trying to take over the Capitol are trying to keep their positions in police departments and ICE and stuff where they're only protecting a racist system. That's all they're doing. They're not working for the people, they're working for the racists. So you've got to, it's basically like you on Earth are in an empire. I'm from a republic telling you how things can be, how good cops can be. So listen to the new Cara Dune, because you had an old one that you shouldn't listen to. But now you got a new Cara Dune. Listen to the new Cara Dune, tell you the way to be doing things right. And thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing. Stop the terrorists, just like you're all willing to stop terrorists in other parts of the world. Stop the terrorists in your part of the world that are threatening your government, your people, and the entire world. It's your duty. Don't make us come over there, because we're all the way back here time long ago in a galaxy far, far away, and that's a lot of hyperfuel or something. It's a lot of some type of crystals. So anyway, thanks for watching. Y'all have a great day.